There are things.
Curious.
We live among,
quite,
and to see them
star big.
is to know
A light
ourselves.
glistens and dazzles.
Occurrence,
It
a
and
part
headpiece.
of an infinite
The
series.
eye shines
The
down.
sad marvels.
Nearly is it.
Of this was
when
told.
sun though.
A tale of our wickedness.
And go to low
It is
eye.
not our wickedness.
Sundown.
You will remember
looks
that old town we went to,
suppose.
and we sat in
I
the ruined
liberty
window,
of genius.
and we tried to
Between
imagine
wrongs.
what belonged to
Great.
those times.
Is it?
It
well,
is dead,
very.
and it is not
see
dead,
can you?
and you
And
cannot
now,
imagine
it of
either
top
its
on
life
figure
or
great,
its death.
The god,
The earth
how they
speaks,
as
and the salamander speaks.
time. In
The spring
one
comes,
upon
and only
grows
spiritual.
capital the 1864 19.
So
April.
spoke
Winter.
of the existence of things,
Man,
an unmanageable pantheon,
very,
absolute,
room
but
the
they say
bombardment or
a city
storm,
of the corporations,
circumstance,
glass
credible,
in
last,
dreams,
the
and
in
images,
marvels,
and the
sad,
pure joy of the
truth,
literal fact,
for nor self,
though it
for
is
neither
impenetrable,
nurse,
as the world, if it
him
is
touch,
matter,
him
is
see with
impenetrable.
last the are you,
The emotions
him
are
no
engaged,
one could how,
entering the city
patient, a man,
as entering
old
any
and busy,
city. We are not
no
coeval
nurse,
with a locality,
no will
but we
food,
imagine others
last
are.
the are you,
We encounter them, actually,
relevant,
as populous
and
flows
minds
through the
that
city.
act still,
There is a
consequence
language, therefore, of
links,
New York.
mesh iron, and moats,
For the people
seas
of
or
that
no,
flow are
then
new,
see
the old,
to it,
new
inflows,
to age,
luck,
as the
proof,
youth
and
to youth, and to
unlucky
their dwellings,
words,
for
the
which
myth,
the tarred
the thick
roofs
so
and the stoops and
air,
doors,
the
a
thickening,
world of stoops,
done,
our
we
petty
have
alibi
what
and
about
satirical wit
argued,
will
we
not serve.
have what, still here,
The great stone
dust, the air,
above the river
in,
in the
moats,
pylon,
the butt, date, century,
1875,
19th,
frozen in the
of
moonlight,
rain,
in the
not
frozen
the
air over the
written,
footpath,
have,
consciousness, which
everything
nothing has to gain,
disclosed,
which awaits
boredom,
nothing,
the sea to
which loves
it
itself.
as window the approach,
We are pressed,
in dies one,
pressed
that
on
even
each other.
world, the of,
we will
glare,
be told
while
at
the
once
not is
of
it,
anything that happens,
break cannot,
and the discovery of fact
mind
bursts
the of,
in a paroxysm of
have
emotion.
those if
Now, as always,
talking,
Crusoe,
people, and
we
conspiracy
say,
of only
was
speak,
rescued. So
two,
we have
man
chosen,
and
obsessed,
vacuity,
bewildered, by the
newness,
shipwreck
the
of the
being
singular.
made though,
we have
knowledge
chosen the
is
meaning
near,
of being
woman,
numerous.
or man,
Amor
each
fati,
also us
the
four,
love
saw,
of fate,
eyes,
for which the
first
city
which
alone
see
is
not,
audience.
cannot one wish
Perhaps
at
blasphemous,
unforeseeable, and
slowly
seen,
over
the
islands,
obvious,
destinies,
that
moving
worlds
steadily
above,
past and change. In the thin sky,
prairies,
over islands,
and forests,
among days,
again,
having only
face
the
can we
force
before,
of days,
cities,
most
whole
simple,
solve,
most difficult.
impoverished, thee of rescue,
Whether as
beyond man,
the intensity
define
of
war.
seeing increases,
Are they as
one's
desperate
distance from them,
and burdened
the people
women on
does
depend
not
to
also
see
increase.
lights and
I know,
little,
of course, I
two,
know,
of
I can
me,
enter no
much
other
too
place.
latent.
Yet
Streets
I
the
am
inn,
one of those who from
arms,
nothing
their
in man's
unaided
way of
life,
thought,
carrying
and one of his dialects,
women,
and
young,
what has happened
the
to me,
life carrying
have made
intruders,
poetry.
themselves,
To dream of that
lines of
speech
burden,
for the
every
sake of an
assumed
instant,
women of
in
courage,
the eyes,
the it
the absolute
is
singular,
world,
the unearthly
the
bonds
thing,
of the singular,
evident most that
which
is
is the bright light
infiniteness,
of shipwreck.
surely, covert a under,
Or in that light,
God evident,
new arts,
most,
different
the
audience
to will,
as artists.
female, a,
But I will listen
sidewalks,
to a man.
the
I
about
will
blown
listen
papers,
to a man.
the breezes,
And when I speak,
the of particulars,
speak,
beautiful, the
though he
among,
will fail, and
forever
I will
sung,
fail.
the about
But I will
carried
listen
me
to
to,
him speak.
women and
The
men
shuffling
voices,
of a crowd
and
is
winds,
nothing.
the in
Well,
grass,
nothing but the
the
many that
children,
were, but
earth,
nothing.
the and,
Urban art,
is
art
air,
of the cities,
the
art
light,
of the young in
how
the cities.
procession,
The isolated man is dead,
bells,
his
the
world
and
around him
tree,
exhausted, fails.
wind, the
He
light.
fails, that meditative man, and indeed they cannot bear it. It is that light seeps anywhere, a light for the time, in which
Illumines,
the buildings
which
stand on low
truthfulness,
ground,
that is
their
old,
pediments
abs
just
and
above the
exalted,
harbor,
jubilation,
absolutely
our
immobile,
is this,
hollow, available. You could enter any
ourselves,
building,
is which
you could
ours,
look
is
from
which,
any window.
need, incredible, her
One
in,
might wave to
wavering
herself
hands, her
from
skin
the top
bright,
of the
bright
entire
other
state
age,
building.
but truth not,
Speak.
desire, a flood,
If
a
you can,
twist,
speak.
can that, life,
Phyllis.
perfect, the
Not
skin, the
neoclassical.
under, tendons,
The
perfect,
girl's
the women
name is Phyllis.
of beauty,
Coming home
the
from her
and
first
shell
job
white,
on the
of
bus
curl, the
in the
oar,
bare civic interior,
laughing lips,
among those
wet,
people,
blue,
the small
green,
doors
red,
opening on the
beautiful.
night at the curb.
Oh,
Her
beautiful.
heart, she told
Be
me,
should it
suddenly
that
tight
only.
with happiness.
beautiful.
So
Be
small a
should it
picture,
that only.
a spot of light on the curb.
Ennobling,
It cannot
is
demean
it
us.
noble, is no
I
to
too am in love,
so
down
thinks
there
one.
with the streets,
If ennobling, is it
in the square
witness
slabs
one.
of pavement,
touch,
to talk of the
unknown,
house,
the
and the
unknown,
neighborhood,
the
and the docks.
because it
is not
believe
art.
one could, how
In
here,
these explanations,
Born
it is
then
presumed
have
that
one
an
if
experiencing subject
branches,
is one
the
occasion
above,
of a sensitive
sky
reaction
bright, blue,
to an
the
actual
seas,
world.
she uplooking,
The rain falls.
deer,
That had
bee
not
and
been
birds,
falling.
the awaits,
And it is the
and
same world.
sometimes then, into
They
walk,
made small objects
she
of wood
woods,
and the bones
little,
of fish.
the are,
and of
porch
stone.
back, the
They
behind,
talked.
house,
Families
there
talked.
behind,
They gathered in council and spoke, carrying objects.
time,
They were
open,
credulous.
from
Their
time,
things shone in
from
the
us,
forest
shield,
They were
twigs,
patient.
thin,
with the world.
high,
This will
there
never
are
return.
leaves,
Never.
of as,
Unless having
Child
reached their limits,
and father,
they will begin
of
over.
hierarchies,
That is,
baffling,
over and over.
beget and downward, grip roots,
Unable
the
to
fear
begin
in,
at
not
the beginning.
it is,
The fortunate
time
find
of,
everything already here.
vacuum, sudden,
They are shoppers,
in, as,
choosers, judges.
true, believe all we
And
what
here
only,
the brutal
myself
is
tell,
without issue.
I and myself
Dead
tell,
end.
can I,
They
light,
develop
dawn,
argument in
the
order to
catches,
speak.
city
They
the
become
of,
unreal.
land low,
Unreal.
on house
Life
the
loses.
low, satisfied,
Solidity
not
loses.
our happiness,
Expense. Baseball
Happiness
is their
saving.
game because
Ourselves.
baseball is not a game,
promise we happiness,
but an
precisely,
argument and difference
not
of
was it
opinion.
and,
Makes the
child.
horse races.
no,
They are ghosts
The daughter.
that endanger.
have I,
One
Daughter.
soul, there is
lovely,
change,
my
and
together,
air
in reality,
that smells
caught
stale.
me,
They will
It
come to
judge
the end
cannot
of an
I,
era,
living,
first of
of
all
say,
peoples,
I can what,
and one may
daughter.
honorably keep
my daughter,
its distance,
my,
if he can.
sunrise,
I cannot,
it before,
even now,
light
altogether disengage
narrow,
myself from those men
dead, new, the
with whom I
exposes,
stood in
each
emplacements,
other,
in massed
against,
tents,
packed,
in hospitals,
close,
and
tightly,
sheds, and hid in the gullies
closed, the
of
other,
blasted ruins
light,
in a
the
ruined country.
art of level,
Among them,
other no
many
is, there
men
is
more capable than I,
levels, other
Recruit
are there,
and a
art,
sergeant
level,
named
it
Healy,
is
that
this
lieutenant also.
thing, one,
How forget
the
that?
sea, so
How talk distantly
must
of
he
the
hands
people?
is in,
Who are that
heads,
force
thousand,
within the
a
walls of
house
cities?
that, field
Where in their
grown,
cars
not must one.
echo like history
No,
down walled avenues
we as solitude
in which
such,
one cannot speak.
floor, hidden profoundly, this floor,
Coarse,
solitary,
Androgynous.
this sweat,
Find me
has fatherhood,
so that I will exist.
dishonored,
Find
in like
my
word
navel
peculiar,
so that it will
him
exist.
about feeling,
Find
him
my nipples
about
so that
bearing,
they will exist.
workman,
Find every
the
hair of my
floors
belly.
swept the,
I am good
and no,
or I am bad.
we as
Find
solitude, such concrete, the inwood of
He
marks,
who will not work shall not eat,
forms,
and
the
only
of
he
marks,
who
the
was troubled
bearing walls,
shall find rest,
rough the
and only
basements,
he who
and
descends
on
into the
outlook,
netherworld shall
they
rescue
what of,
his
and
beloved,
rooms of talk,
and only
to
he
want would
who
I,
unsheathes his knife
actual,
shall be given.
be of isolation,
Isaac again,
and
he
eats
who will not
our
work
what.
shall not eat.
Therefore,
But
and
he
life
who will work
of
shall give
course,
birth to
that
his own
in
father.
thought what time, in happens what,
The roots of words
us for,
dim in
is world,
subways.
the what
There
themselves,
is madness in the
present
number
choices, what
of the
life,
living, a
in
state of
happens,
matter.
what to tell,
There is
How
nobody
would
here
one
but
experience
us chickens.
of order,
Anti-ontology.
difference, but
He wants to
profundity,
His life
a
is
question
real.
of precisely
No one can say
not
why.
is it.
It is not easy to speak
To born
of
where the
ferocious
life
mumbling
the within
in public,
lives,
of rootless speech.
have who those or choice of range, the
It is an air
recognize,
of atrocity,
have who those
an
about
event as ordinary
poetry
as a
of
president,
speak to now
a plume
difficult
of smoke,
is it.
visible at a distance,
Then
in which
have
people
they
are
ever as clear
Now,
ripple the from
as the
flowing
helicopters,
waters
casual will
beach,
is atrocious,
the of
insanity in high places.
water through
If it is true, we must do these things.
fold,
We must cut our throats.
enough bright,
The fly in
seen,
the bottle,
streets,
insane,
if
the insane
which is the
fly,
world, the
which
fatal
over the
rock,
city
they will say,
is the bright
blessed
light
beast,
of shipwreck.
behemoth, beast, whale, white,
They await
world,
war,
natural, the
and the
against,
news is
nothing
war,
does, and
as
nothing
always,
is it enough,
that the juices
not
may
is.
flow in them,
What mind,
though the juices
of,
lie.
weight
Great
and
things
power,
have happened
the mind,
on the great
of,
earth,
power,
and given
of,
its history,
visible
armies and the
are
ragged
cars,
hordes,
the of,
moving and the
wipers,
passions of that
windshield,
death.
the which in
But who
a
escapes
self-contained
death
process,
among these riders of the
vibrates,
subway? They know.
silence, mineral,
By
great,
now,
the true
as
is
I
it,
know,
night,
failure
clear
and the guilt
dim
of
stemming
failure.
cars,
as in
parts,
Hardy's
the
poem of
arms
Christmas.
shine, lamps street,
We might
objects
have
irrelevant,
to find the animals in the sheds of a
supply
nation,
depots,
kneeling
supply
at
the
midnight.
and, infirmaries, in
farm
their
animals,
generation,
draft animals,
their fine
beasts for
cannot
slaughter,
they if who,
because it would
Column
mean they have
moving,
forgiven us,
be of
or
head,
which is the
it
same.
is their
that we
confused
do not
voices, the
altogether
and untended
matter.
wounds, the and torn, must is earth,
There
the
can be
where,
a brick
them,
in a brick wall,
undo
the
the
eye
by
picks, so
generation,
quiet of a
a
Sunday.
new generation,
Here is the brick.
and no
It
one
was
shall
real.
bow,
Here, when
Please.
you were born,
the of,
Marianne,
corridors, as
Clarity
filthy is
in a
pavement,
sense of
deed
transparency.
and generation,
I don't mean that
For
much to be
generation.
explained.
cities,
Clarity
the paved,
in the sense of
cities,
silence.
the paved, that death of denial,
Half
that
free and half
on
mad.
stand,
And
we
the jet
cannot
set as in
sense
The
come.
vocabularies of the 40s gave way
Say
to the jet
to want
stream,
we distances
and the media,
out of
the
boundaries,
Mustang, and the
the rest
deals,
which on metaphysic
people will
the
change
defends
again.
cannot and
under
single
the soil, in
lies,
the blind
that
pressure,
no we and
the lump,
lives
entity
single
of
lives
substance, changes
chain
also.
of and the
In
themselves.
24
Feel
rooms,
they
2
future,
dozen apartments,
the
after
of,
the party,
sense,
the girls
metaphysical,
stare at
The
ceilings,
lost have they
blindly as they are
poets
filled,
among
and then
lives.
they sleep.
Their lead not should poets that merely say to
In
stupid
this nation,
how
which is in
No.
some sense our
not
home,
do and
covenant.
imitation.
the
Defend
covenant is,
to want we
there shall
decide.
be peoples.
In conclusion,
Strange
a
that the
two
youngest
natedness
people I know
carry
live in
they
the oldest buildings,
all Chinese
scattered about the
this
city,
business,
in the dark
ponderous
rooms of the
half
past, and the
other,
immigrants,
each
the black,
jostle,
rectangular
buildings
buildings
ancient, the
of the
invested.
immigrants,
America
the children of the middle
products
class,
pure,
the pure
class
products of
middle,
America,
the of children,
investing the ancient
the
buildings,
are they,
jostle
immigrants,
each other,
the of
in the
buildings,
half-forgotten,
rectangular
that ponderous
black,
business,
the immigrants,
this
the
Chinese
and,
wall.
past the of, rooms dark,
They
the
carry
in,
nativeness
city,
to a
the about,
conclusion in
scattered,
suicide.
buildings,
We
oldest,
want to defend
in, live,
limitation
middle eye,
and do not
people
know.
youngest, the that,
Stupid to
strange
say merely
peoples,
that
each
poets
out there
should
is
not leave their
covenant,
lives
the covenant,
among poets.
come, our
They have
sense,
lost the
some
metaphysical
image,
sense of the future.
nation,
They
this
feel
in,
themselves the end of a chain
sleep,
of
They
lives,
then
single
have
lives,
filled,
and we
are they
know
as
that
blindly,
lives are single
ceilings, the
and
act,
cannot defend the
stare
metaphysics
girls,
on which
the
rest
party,
the boundaries
after,
of our distance.
apartments,
We want to
dozen
say
two, rooms dozen two,
common
in
sense
changes,
and cannot be stand on.
substance of entity,
That denial
lump, the
of
pressure,
death that
line,
paved the
the
cities,
in,
paved
soul
the
the
cities,
under,
generation
again, change,
for generation,
will,
and the
people,
pavement
the
is
and,
filthy
deals,
as the
the
corners
and,
of
the
the police.
Mustang, media, the and,
How shall
jet
one know a
stream,
generation,
the
a new
two-way
generation,
gift, 40s,
not by the
the
dew
of,
on them, where the
vocabularies,
earth is most
the
torn
in
and
is
the
set,
wounds
jet,
untended
the
and the
and,
voices confused?
mad, half,
There is
free,
the
half,
head of a moving column,
silence of
who,
sense,
if they
the
cannot
in clarity
find
explains,
their generation,
ye can
wither
march,
in the
that made
infirmities,
them I,
and supply depots, supplying irrelevant objects.
Clarity.
Street lamps
And
shine on the parked cars
Were you
steadily in the clear night.
waiting?
It is
Was
true
it
the
brick?
great mineral silence
It is here.
vibrates, hums,
Someday,
a process
of quiet
completing itself,
Pig's eye.
in which the
Wall
windshield
brick,
wipers of the
in
cars are
Brick
visible.
it be.
The power of the
Can
mind, the power and weight of the mind, which is
Matter.
not enough, it is
Altogether.
nothing,
Not
and
do
does nothing.
That thing, same.
Against the
That
natural
is
world,
which
behemoth,
for
white whale,
us
beast,
forgiven.
they will
How
say,
they
and less
mean,
than
Would
beast,
it
the
because
fatal rock,
slaughter
which
for
is the
beasts,
world.
animals,
Oh,
drafts,
if the
animals,
streets seem
far,
bright enough,
midnight,
fold
at
within
kneeling,
fold of residence,
of
or
sheds
see through
the
water clearly the
animals
pebbles
divine
of the
to
beach,
hope
through the
have
water,
might be
flowing from the
Christmas
ripple,
of calm,
clear as
parties,
ever they have
in
been.
as failure of guilt, the and
It is
failure.
difficult now to
I
speak
know,
of poetry,
as now by
about
know
those
they,
who have recognized
subway
a range
of
of
the
choice,
writers,
or those who
these
have
among
lived within the
death,
life they were born
escape
to.
too, but
It is
that-
not
that of
precisely
passions,
a question
and
of profundity,
moving hordes
but a
ragged
different
and
order of
armies
experience.
given, and
One
earth
would have to
to
tell
arm,
what happens in a
have
life,
things great,
what
lies
choices
just
present
as though.
themselves,
Then,
what the
in
world
flow,
is
made
for
use
us,
of
what
that,
happens
always
in
as
time,
war
what
is,
thought
news,
is in the course of
the
a
and
life,
war,
and therefore
the
what
weight
art
there,
is,
shipwreck
and the isolation of the actual.
is city
I would
over
want to
which
talk of rooms
fly
and of
insane,
what they look out on the
insane,
basements,
spot
rough
of
walls bearing the
the
marks, the
throats,
forms,
our
the marks
we
of wood,
things
in
these
the
three must
concrete,
we
such
true
solitude
is
as
it
we
if
know,
places high
and the swept
sanity,
floors.
atrocious
Someone,
is
a workman,
blue casual
wearing about him,
helicopters,
feeling about him the
now
peculiar
burn
word
people
in
which
dishonored
in
fatherhood
distance
which
as
has
visible,
swept this solitary
smoke of
floor.
whom a
This
precedence
profoundly hidden
as
floor,
ordinary
such
as
solitude
evidence
as
and
we know.
atrocity of air
One must
is
not
its
come to the feel that he has 1,000 threads in
speech,
his hands.
rootless of
He
public,
must somehow
and mumbling,
see
ferocious
the one
aid,
thing.
speak
This
too easy,
is the level of
not
art.
is it.
There are
Why
other
say
levels,
can
but
one
there is no
know?
other level
Real
of art.
is life.
The light
His, say,
the closed
to
pages,
Monty,
tightly
ontology,
closed,
anti,
packed
chickens,
against
us,
each
but
other,
here,
exposes
nobody
the new
is
day.
there.
the narrow,
Matter of
frightening
state,
light
a living
before a sunrise.
of the number, the in madness is there.
My daughter,
the
what can I
indeed
say of
words
living?
of roots.
I cannot judge
The
it.
Father,
We
oh,
seem
his,
caught in reality
to birth,
together.
here shall
My
birth.
lovely daughter.
Will who, he, but
I have a
it,
daughter,
not
I have
shall
no child.
No,
And it was
will
precisely
who,
happiness we
again,
promised
Isaac,
ourselves.
given be
We
shall
say
not.
happiness,
His
happiness
unsheathed,
and are
the
not
only
satisfied.
and beloved,
Though the house on the
rescue
lowland
shall
of the
world
city
nether,
catches the
into
dawn light.
descends.
I can
He,
tell myself
only
and tell myself
Christ
only what
shall
we all
trouble.
believe.
Was only he.
And in the sudden vacuum
eat,
of time,
not shall
it is
work,
not in the
not
fear
will.
of the roots
Who he,
grip
me,
downward
find.
and beget
Bad am
baffling
I, or
hierarchies
good am
of
I,
father and child,
belly, my
as
own.
of leaves
Hair
on their
every
high,
kind
thin
exists.
twigs
Will they,
to shield
that
us
so, nipples
from
my
time,
fine exist, will
from
I,
open
that so
time.
nipples my fine exist, will I, that so me find, and
Behind their house,
chorus,
behind the back porch,
speak,
are the little woods.
cannot one which,
She walks into them
avenues,
sometimes and awaits the
them.
birds and the deer.
history like echo,
Looking up, she sees the
cars
bright
there within,
blue sky
cities,
above the branches.
of walls,
If one had been born here,
force,
how could
that
one
are
believe
here.
it?
People,
Because the known and
the
unknown
distant
touch.
talk how,
One
that
witness
forget
says
how,
it is a
also
nobly.
lieutenant that,
If one thinks so,
Huey,
if to
named
know is
surgeon,
noble, it is a
and
nobly.
Neuke,
Only that it should be beautiful. Only that it should be
men,
beautiful.
many of them,
Oh, beautiful.
among country ruins,
Red, green,
in
blue,
roads,
the white
blasted
lips,
of gullies,
laughing,
in the hid,
or curled
and
in white
sheds,
shell,
and
the
hospitals,
beauty of women,
intense,
the perfect
mess and
tendons under the
placements,
skin, the
stood
perfect
I
life
with,
that can
then
twist in a
those
flood
from
of
myself
desire,
disengaged,
not truth,
altogether,
but each other.
no,
The bright,
even
bright
cannot
skin,
I.
her hands wavering
Can he,
in her
if
incredible
distance
need,
his,
which is ours,
keep honorably,
which is ourselves,
made one
This
as
is jubilation.
people's whole of first,
exalted and
era,
old as that
and
truthfulness
and
which
to
illumines
become
spin
wilted,
speech.
stale smells that air and in change
Like
is their
the
soul
wind in the
once.
trees and the
In
bells
danger,
of the
that
procession,
ghosts are they,
how light
graces
is the
force
air,
that makes opinion of difference,
and the earth,
argument,
children
and
and the
art.
grass,
Aim and not is
and the
baseball,
wind and the
because
voices of men
walls,
and women,
life,
to be carried about the sun forever.
Become they
Among the beautiful particulars of the breezes, the papers blown about the sidewalks,
and
a
death.
female will hide the most evident God under a covert.
The here
Surely
judges,
infiniteness is the most evident thing in the world.
It
is the courage of women to assume every burden of blindness themselves.
The beginning, the act,
Intruders
begin
carrying life, the young women
over and
carrying life,
over.
unaided
Is
in
that
their
over?
arms,
Begin will
in the
then
streets weakened
limits
by too much
their
need
reach.
of too little,
Happiness
and life
never
seeming to
return,
depend on women,
never
burdened
with
and desperate
world,
as they are,
the with
or
patient,
defined,
where
man
they
beyond
force
rescue of the
ancient
impoverished,
things there,
solve whole
prejudice
cities
were they,
before we can face
carrying
again
spoke and
forests
castle,
and
in
prairies.
garrets they talked, families talked they still,
Though the
of
world
man,
is the
fisher
opposite,
bones,
the
sea
sea
and of wood,
and
of objects,
unforeseeable,
small made
that
they,
which one cannot
world saying,
not
that
see,
is it,
which first
falling,
eyes
been
saw,
not had,
for us
souls
also each,
world
man
actual
or woman,
and to
near
reaction
is knowledge.
sensitive, a
Though it may be
occasion,
of the news
one
owned
subject
vacuity,
experiencing,
and the man
that
too speak
presumed
only of
is it
conspiracies,
explanations,
and
these
people
evil.
talking, and
Art
if those
not
paths
is
of the
it,
mind
and dogs
cannot
be
break,
the neighborhood,
it is the wild
and
glare
grass
of the world,
of the
even the
top
one
sand,
that dies in,
pavement of slabs square,
approached the window
and
as if to be
streets,
seen, the
wind
boredom
there
which
down
disclosed
low,
everything.
in and to
I should have written not
us
the rain of a
Can
19th
it
century day,
curb
but the motes
onlight
in the air,
spot,
the dust.
a picture is
here
small
still.
so
What have we
happiness
argued about?
with
What have we
tight,
done?
Suddenly
Thickening the air.
told she
Air so thick
heart
with
her.
myth, the words
Curb
unlucky
the
and
ass
good luck
night
float in
on
it.
opening,
to
doors
see them.
small, the people,
No.
those
Or
among
see
interior
motes,
civic
An
there,
iron mesh
the
that links
bus, the
of consequence,
job first
still
heard,
at the mind's end, relevant.
Phyllis is named Eurostar, classic neo.
You are the last.
Speak.
Who